actually holed up in a hotel room in Los Angeles. So I was out here for Bellator. That was last night. We're going to get into a quick recap of that. Little bit of a special event, quite frankly. Double header. UFC's running on ESPN at the same time. So we got a lot of fights to discuss. But I'll tell you why I'm here. I'm going to stay the night here in LA. And then I'm going to fly to Miami for the Super Bowl. Now, before anybody gets jealous and thinks old Chael is bragging that he's going to the Super Bowl, I'm not. I'm going to Miami. I get in on Monday evening with the time change. It's like 6 hours to get there. 3-hour time change. I land about 11 p.m. We're going to go and do some media with something called Radio Row. And I've heard of Radio Row, as I trust you guys have, but I don't fully know what that is. It turns out it's a row of radio. So essentially, you show up, hope you're an interesting enough person that somebody calls you over, and then you go and do some radio content. And then you stand back up, go in the queue, and hope that somebody else calls you over. So a little bit of a media opportunity. And, as we play into Super Bowl week, but I'm coming home Thursday. So I won't be at the games. Why I'm telling you I'm going to Miami for the Super Bowl, it's more of an expression, broad stroke term, right? And that's apparently a real thing. I could tell you, you guys might remember Joel. Joel went out to Wrigleyville when the Cubs were playing. Now, he ended up getting a ticket into the game and going, but he went there with his son without tickets and without even planning to get tickets because there's just something real, apparently, about being in that atmosphere. I'm not the world's biggest sports guy, so I can't fully understand it. We have a great atmosphere and experience within mixed martial arts, but it's that day, for the most part. If you really want to make something about it and you're a hardcore fan, you do have other opportunities. You do have some Q&As and you got some weigh-ins that you're welcome to go to. You got some open workouts. But for the most part, to convert an entire city around a sporting event is something I just can't relate to. So there's a part of me that's kind of excited. Excited more to just go see what that experience is like, see what the buzz of this huge football game's like, and then come back and tell you guys. Because I really don't know, and none of you have ever told me. So maybe we'll just imagine that we're both going through this the first time together. Now, I've got to tell you, let's start with Bellator. A couple of key fights went on, but let's look right at two of them. First off, Sergio Pettis. Sergio Pettis goes out, and he's taken on a heavy hitter. And Alfred has knocked out 11. Alfred has beaten 11 guys, and he beat them all by knockout. And he was very confident he was going to do the same thing to Sergio. Well, Sergio ends up getting him on the ground. Sergio traps one hand and just starts teeing off right in Alfred's face. Alfred starts standing up like a zombie. He's getting punched in the face with absolutely no protection by Sergio Pettis. I mean, that's not a fun thing to do. And he was still standing up. And he was gaining elevation. He was making his way back to his feet. Sergio lets the wrist go, jumps out front, puts on a guillotine. Sergio just got a black belt, so he's very proud to go out and use his submission. Gets a finish. This is all in the very first round. Alfred never tapped out. Refused to succumb to the strikes. Didn't even tap out to the choke. He went all the way to sleep. The referee had to lift his hand and let it fall like the old Hulk Hogan move to know to stop the fight. I mean, overall, very impressive by both guys. Impressive display of skills by Sergio. He gets his credit there. But an impressive show of guts and grit by Alfred. It was just one of those fights where you look at both guys and go, okay, I'm a fan. You know what? You guys both won me over there. Then let's move forward all the way to the main event. But Cris Cyborg is going to go out and fight Julia Budd. One thing about Julia Budd is she's been the champion of the world. She's been a dominant champion. She's been on an undefeated streak. She trains extremely hard. One of the best kickboxing coaches I've ever met is a man named Lance Gibson. She's married to Lance Gibson. So when you want to talk about a young lady that's got good coaching and good skills, she's got it 24/7. Not just in the gym, she's got it at home. They could talk about the sport and strategy over breakfast and coffee in the morning should they want to. I mean, really, she's a very special talent, and she's going to go and fight Cyborg. But where this fight gets interesting, it's Cyborg's debut. Most people's debut in a new organization just doesn't go great. And that doesn't mean they can't win. That just means that performance just isn't great. It's a very real and true thing, historically speaking. So Cyborg's going to come over. She's won 3 world championships in 3 different organizations. She's going for an all-time record of 4 world championships in 4 different organizations. There's a lot on it. But by the way, Cyborg is not bigger than Bud. First time ever. Cyborg actually weighed in a pound and a half less than Bud. And I realize on the scales, we're splitting hairs here. Somebody dehydrates a little more than they needed to. I get the whole thing. But I still have to present the numbers as they were presented to me. And Cyborg, for the first time ever, is at a weight deficit. If you just stare at the two of them, you always think about Cyborg and strength and power. Well, if you ever stare at Julia Budd, you come away knowing she's got strength and she's got power. And then you've got the final caveat, which is they play the same game. Cyborg has always overwhelmed females with punches and kicks, Muay Thai. That's the same thing that Bud likes to do, right? So this was a fight of two storms coming together. And kind of just like in nature, when two storms collide, whichever one is more powerful is the one that absorbs the other storm. And as these ladies got into fisticuffs, and this thing was a mess to the highest of level, and I wouldn't go as far as to say that Cyborg was ever in great jeopardy. Julia Budd had her moments and her positions, but largely Cyborg had landed 2 or 3 shots to Bud's 1. That's just what happened. But Bud was not going away. She was looking to get to the later rounds. She was looking for 4 and 5. She was showing grit and toughness, and Cyborg was not backing down. And Cyborg is one of these athletes who will never cease to impress me of how long she can make her power last. All power punchers. I mean, it's broad stroke, but you can paint them all the same, which is take a little steam out of them. Grab a hold of them, push them in the fence, make them work a little bit, make them sweat, move in front of them, make them move in front of you. The more tired they get, which includes the more punches that they land and that you could absorb, the lighter those punches are going to get. Now, that doesn't mean they're not going to still be powerful, and that doesn't mean they're still not going to hurt, but it is a very real thing that they're going to be less powerful later in the contest. That's human logic, right? Well, the one exception to that rule might be Cris Cyborg. I never see her shots get any nicer or any lighter or any slower, or her combinations go from 6-beat combinations to 2-beat combinations. She will throw a storm at you and finishes off with a kick and then restart and do it again if you're still standing in front of her. She's a very impressive athlete, but she's a very impressive competitor, and it is very clear that she is very disciplined within her preparation. Her coaches have done a very good job, not just now, over the course of her career, to make sure that she is fit and in shape. And no matter how many championships she wins, or how much praise she's given, or money she puts in the bank, any reason that you would think somebody would go into this sport but also stay motivated, no matter how many of those things happen, none of them appear to matter to her. What's next? And I'm going to put everything into it. And you can just see the discipline and focus. You can see the drive, but you can also see the preparation. When Cris Cyborg goes out and fight, there's no other way to explain it. You must be prepared for battle. The will to win is nothing without the will to prepare. And it is so clear to me as a viewer that Cyborg has the will to prepare.